just kicked up. In a moment, I'll step out of the wind so that you can hear me more clearly, but how's that for a backdrop? I see Veronica Ciccaroni says, excited for the show. Poland looks beautiful. Oh, thank you for that. Hi, Damien. You're in Hawaii, and I'm in Warsaw. I'm going to give you a 360 of where I'm located right now, and then I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm here. I'm on the roof of the Bristol Hotel. In fact, let me walk over to the side, and I'll show you where the old town is. You know, 85% of Warsaw was destroyed in World War II by the Nazis. Down that away is the older section of town. It's been totally rebuilt. It's gorgeous, and they've done their best. Okay, TC just told me, get out of the wind, it's too loud. Okay, thank you, TC. Jesus, I'm far from home, and she's still ordering me around. How's that? Is that better? Marianne says, looking great. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone from Norway, says Desert Sun. Greensboro, North Carolina is Jay. Marianne, sounds really windy. Okay, hopefully it's better now. Michelle says, thank you, TC. Jamal, much better. Perfect. Okay. All right. I got the message. So I am on the rooftop of the Bristol Hotel, a spectacular hotel in Warsaw. Now I'll give you another look at all this. The wind and the weather just really kicked up. I will be seated in one of these two chairs. I will be looking in this prompter if it works. In fact, I'll sit down here right now. Yeah, there we go. So, gang, I did a radio program in Philadelphia on Wednesday. In fact, Dr. Maz was my guest on Wednesday. I didn't say anything about what I was up to. I just wanted everything to go well and for me to arrive safely and as planned. And that happened. I flew overnight and I arrived in Warsaw on Thursday and immediately went to the Global Expo Center. And I talked a little bit about this on radio, but yesterday we had some connectivity issues for YouTube, and I want to lay it out better now. So I arrived in town and I immediately went to the Global Expo Center, which is a place where the refugees from Ukraine are housed. You've seen it on television. It was amazing to see it in person. 2,000 people were there when I was there. They've had double that capacity. It's women and children. And these are folks who truly scrambled out the door with the clothes on their back, and they came to the Polish border, and they've been welcomed with open arms. I am sure because the Poles themselves have been through a Nazi occupation, the Holocaust, as well as communism. And I'm sure that the Poles see themselves in the Ukrainians. And this is why I'm here. I'm going to step out of the wind a little bit more. I'm here because I want to shine a light on just how extraordinary the Polish response has been to the Ukrainian war. In fact, I wasn't sure today. I packed a tie for Ukraine and I packed a tie for Poland. I ended up with the Poland tie for today because that's really the story that I'm here to tell. Yesterday, I went to the National Stadium. The National Stadium is this major intake facility. Again, it had been processing 10,000 folks per day, but it's not now. And when the Ukrainian refugees arrive, they are given all rights and privileges of Polish citizenship, just like that, with the exception of voting. I mean, the Poles have been extraordinary. I wouldn't be so knowledgeable about this, nor would I have been motivated to come and to take a look for myself, have I not been contacted by someone with whom I went to school with. His name is John Lynch. And John Lynch reached out for me and ended up writing an essay for Smerconish.com talking about some of his efforts to raise funds. He's a businessman, an American who's been here for the last 30 years, maintains his American citizenship, but really is a Pole in every sense of the word. And it was he who enlightened me into what was going on here. He then assisted me in having Ambassador Mark Brzezinski, the U.S. ambassador to Poland, on both POTUS and on CNN. And the ambassador is going to join me when I'm on CNN live in about 90 minutes from now. So that's the purpose in being here. Now, the best laid plans, and I can't complain because so many people are suffering at home. I had hoped that I was going to do the entire program. I had hoped that I was going to do the entire program focused on Ukraine and the Polish response. But of course, in Uvalde, Texas, an 18-year-old gunman had other plans. And so the program today will be a hybrid where I'll talk about Ukraine for a portion of it, and I will talk about what went on in Uvalde for the other portion. I'll just say this. Yesterday's POTUS program was 3 full hours of only guests about Poland and Ukraine. And I couldn't be more proud of the way that it turned out. And I know that TC and Dan are doing, maybe by podcast, figuring out how to make that available so that if you missed it, you could go to the app, but we want to make it easy for you to do so. It really, really turned out well. So, yeah, that's why I'm here. I couldn't be more excited to be here. Warsaw is a beautiful place, as I say, such a rich and, in many respects, sad story when you think about this gorgeous. I'm going to step into the wind only because I want you to see. I know it's windy, but I won't talk much. Just look. And off in the background behind me, that's the National Stadium. Can you see the National Stadium? So the National Stadium where they play soccer, they call it, of course, football, but that's where I was yesterday. 64,000 seat, I'll get back out of the wind, 64,000 seat stadium being used as a processing center. And I'll tell you something else that's interesting. When I was down in sort of the bowels of the National Stadium yesterday and being given a tour by a man whose normal job is to be the chief of staff for the Warsaw mayor, he said to me, "Do you see the copper lines?" And I said, "I do." And he said, "They're for oxygen." And I said, "I don't understand." Well, the area in which I was located that is now being used to process the Ukrainian refugees, it had just played a role as a COVID hospital. So imagine they go from COVID to dealing with this refugee crisis, millions of people who've crossed the border here. And again, I think it just speaks to the generosity and the humankind that has been exhibited by the Poles. And one of the subjects I will ask the ambassador about is how do we maintain interest and support at home? Because you've probably seen the polling data that suggests that Americans are supportive of what's going on, supportive of Ukraine, supportive of money and arms for Ukraine. But when the American economy starts to head in the wrong direction, then all of a sudden some of that support dissipates. So that is also of concern. In terms of issues to be discussed, long-range rocket launchers are now being contemplated by the Pentagon and the Biden administration to give to Ukraine. That's a big wish that Zelensky has. Of course, you'll remember when Poland said, "Give us F-16s so that we can give our MiG-29 fighters." We thought that was too provocative, and we didn't go along with the plan. Where that line lies, I'm really not sure, but that's another issue that I think needs to be discussed. Do we give that weaponry and run the risk of antagonizing Putin? I think we probably do. One last thing I'll tell you: if you look in some of my social media, among the people that I've interviewed here, the family that really stands out is a 4-generation family of Kherson in Ukraine, which is a Russian-occupied city of about 250,000, I think. And here I was in this facility with the grandmother, the mother, the daughter, and the daughter's 2 children. So 5 individuals, 3 moms, 2 kids, ran out the door with the clothes on their back. And now the Russians have taken total control of their city. They have no idea when they'll go back. They spoke to me about some of the brutality that they witnessed and some of the atrocities that were committed by those Russian soldiers. And it really brought it home for me. It really brought it home for me because I'm looking at these people and I'm going to spend a few hours here. They've been there for months, sleeping on cots in proximity to, literally thousands of other people. And this is their entire world, and they have no idea when they'll go back. So thanks to Poland for really stepping up. I know we're writing the check in the United States. They're putting in the sweat equity. You want another look at Warsaw? Across from where I am, that's the Raffles Hotel. And over my shoulder, if you look at my social media, you'll see the tomb of the unknown soldier, which was spectacular for me to visit. And then as I say, you remember have you seen Adrian Brody in The Pianist? Did you remember watching The Pianist? Phenomenal movie. I mean, the old section is there. That's the old section, and it's been rebuilt as best they could rebuild it to the way in which it appeared. Um, the former palace is about a block down the road. That's where President Biden on March 26th said that he, hopes to God we get rid of this guy, meaning Putin. And directly next door to where I'm standing is the residence of the Polish president. I saw somebody just said it looks like a storm. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I mentioned my friend John Lynch, who gave me the idea to come here, and he is in the apparel business. This is a funny story. I'll just leave you with a funny story. So he's in the apparel business, and as a gift, he gave to me this rain slicker. He said, "Come on, everybody at CNN has a rain slicker. You don't have a rain slicker." And I said, "Oh, John, thank you very much." But of course, in my mind, I thought, there's no way I'll be wearing a rain slicker. I'm going to be outdoors and the weather's going to be beautiful. But you can see the clouds, some are cooperating and some are not cooperating. So you will have to tune in. You will have to tune in if for no other reason than to see how it all goes. Hey, one last thought that I'll share with you, and that is that those of you who listen to me on a regular basis know that I'm big into family history and genealogy. And I've told some of the stories in the past about having everything sorted out on my mother's side of the family, but not my father's side of the family. I now know the answers. I now know the answers, and our heritage at different times, based on different boundaries, could have been described as Austro-Hungarian Empire, or Ukrainian, or Polish, because the village from which my great grandfather emigrated and my great grandmother, paternal father's side, is in southeast Poland. So one more reason to be happy to be here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being tuned in. I'll have more stories on Tuesday. I'm going to come back on Monday. I will be a dish rag on Tuesday for the program, but hope that you'll be there to hear some of what I'll tell you. So from Warsaw today on CNN, half the show dedicated to the situation in Ukraine and the generosity of the Poles, and half on those sad events at home in Uvalde, Texas. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you soon.